I love making cakes. I mean, who doesn't love making cakes? But you know what I really love when I make cakes is making the cake for love. Wedding cakes. I love making wedding cakes. I really do. I know I'm joking around here, but I really do think that it's an incredible part of the whole ceremony of two people getting married. And I'm not suggesting that you need to get married to make this cake, because it's not obligatory to share cake, is it? But if you are getting married, I'm guessing that's why you've discovered Polka Dot Bride, which is how I discovered making cakes like this, because they said to me, if people were getting married and they didn't want to eat animal products, what would you do? And I said, oh yeah, don't worry, I've got an idea. So this is a vegan wedding cake, and this is especially for the Polka Dot Bride blog. So if you are getting married, you're probably all over it, because that is an awesome place to get a lot of really cool tips. For this, my brief was, let's go for something that doesn't use the whole naked icing look. You know how I think it's beautiful, but it's definitely been out there for a while. And also, maybe don't go with the opposite of that, which is the full icing look. And I thought, right, where does that leave one? So I'm going to do a lemon meringue cake. How does one do that if we're not using animal products? Well, the first tricky thing is, of course, to make a meringue when you can't use eggs. But we've already done that. So if you don't know what I'm talking about when I mention aquafaba, make sure you go and check out the episode called Meringue in a Can, and all will be revealed. So we've got that ready to go. And then the other aspect to this particular cake is the lemon curd. Now, how do we do that without eggs? Well, I'm actually keeping that one a secret, because this is a product that we've been working on. Look at the wobble, it's beautiful. This is a product that we've been working on for all the things. So I'm just going to keep that one under wraps. But if you can't get your hands on that, then the easiest substitute is probably either a lemon marmalade or an orange marmalade. And you're still going to get that amazing citrus aspect, and then the meringue's going to be taken care of with the aquafaba. So we're all good to go. Now, I like, at the moment, these things change quite quickly in my world, I like using a slice of wood as the base, just because it doesn't really matter what the theme is. This seems to work. All right, I've done a couple of things to show you so that this is all going to make sense depending on which way you want to go. I have one recipe for cake. It's all the same cake, which is a lemon cake, but I've done one recipe that makes two cakes, or you can split that same recipe into 3 cakes. So up to you, because you're going to need to decide what size cake you're happy to kind of handle and work with. But they're all the same diameter, so a 20 centimetre diameter. The other thing that I just want to show you, I like to grab a piece of baking paper that's just a little bit smaller than the circumference of the cake, so that you don't see it underneath the cake, but you're not putting a cake directly onto raw wood, because that might just be a bit weird in the end. Now, to stick that down, I always put just whatever icing I'm using, and in this case, I'm using the aquafaba. Put that into the center, and then just squash it down, and then that won't move around. And then you do another little blob on top, so that when you put your cake on there, it's aquafaba as glue. Okay, this guy that I have sitting around the outside is literally like a little bib, if you like. So this is for when things get a bit messy, and if I drop anything, I'm just going to be able to pull that away from the cake after the fact, and hopefully we won't have too much of a mess to deal with. When you handle your cakes, you can probably see that I've put the baking paper across the spring form at the bottom, so you get this really great flat finish. This is the only time that you want to bake cakes that don't go crazy at the top, because you're just going to have to slice that off. You want a flat top cake. How does one get a flat top cake? If you mix it really well, you know how with muffins you don't mix it, you don't over mix, I should say, and so then you get these amazing air pockets in it and it's all kind of crumbly and bumpy and it rises. Do the opposite with these cakes. Mix it really well and then you're going to get a nice even surface across the top. I don't know why, it just is. Okay, so then take the base off. Now what I do is put the top on the bottom because that just gives you an easier point to kind of, well, for the bride and for the groom to cut into this because it's not sitting right at the bottom of the wood. Brilliant. Okay. Lemon curd. So this is our first sandwich. Now I'm not going to go crazy with the curd because you don't want so much on there that it's going to play slippery slidey when it all goes together. Remember, we're stacking 5 cakes up here, so we want to make sure that they stay together. Next. Okay, the next layer goes on top there. Now, kind of give it a little pressure on top just to make sure that that's really going to stick there. And some more lemon meringue, lemon curd. Now, don't worry about the gaps that are happening around the outside at this point because remember we're going to cover the whole thing with meringue. Okay, I'm going to leave one out. Otherwise we're going to have a castle of a cake. You'll figure out when you're doing this what's going to work best. Oh, I better put this on. Okay. Now, this one you want flat on the top. So turn that the opposite way. Oh yeah, I think that's going to be tall enough, right? Brilliant. A little bit of a squash down just to make sure that's going to sit there. And just a smooch of this. The nice thing about the curd is that it almost gets taken into the cake so that you get a little jammy finish. And that would happen exactly the same way if you want to use marmalade as well. Right. Now, I should have mentioned my hat, right? You're like, why is she wearing a hat in the kitchen? Normally I wear a hairnet. Have you ever seen how unattractive people look when they wear hairnets? Right, now you're with me. We still don't want any hair in the wedding cake, but I'll be damned if I'm going to wear a hairnet and show everybody what that looks like. Okay, we're at the stage where we're going to do the meringue. So let's start schmooking this around. Now, the recipe is going to be available not only at all the things on our website, but obviously with Polka Dot Bride. So you can go to their blog and you'll be able to find everything that we've done and a little chat about how I make cakes. All of that's going to go on as well. Now, flowers on cakes. What to do? Can you use flowers that you can't eat? Yeah, absolutely. I'm here to break any kind of rule that sits around that. Obviously, don't use something that you know is toxic to for human consumption. But if you want to use flowers that there is absolutely no intention of them being eaten, do it. I mean, a lot of brides say to me that they just want their flowers to be exactly the same as their bouquet, and that is beautiful. It's really lovely because everything kind of, well, it matches, doesn't it? And it just feels right when things match. But the thing about the flowers that I'm going to use, the little billy buttons that you can see here, they're just perfect. Right, you're going to need one of these if you're going to make this cake. And with aquafaba, because of the sugar, I mean, this is the same with any meringue if you use these creme brulee torches. Because of the sugar, it will catch really quickly, as in catch fire. So you want to make sure that you can pull back. I usually do this on full, but keep at a bit of a distance away. Oh, that smell is just so good. Okay, right, Billy Buttons time. So these are going to just sit kind of into the meringue, but the reason that I like these as well is that they have a decent, sturdy kind of stem, so we can really kind of poke them in there. I'm going to try and make them all the same length. It's very Morticia Addams all of a sudden, isn't it? Okay. And then these will be the polka dots for the Polka Dot Bride. Okay, let's remove the little bib. Try and be a bit careful with this because you don't want to then dollop meringue everywhere. It's almost like, oh, I don't want to ruin that drip. Okay, good. Brilliant! A little polka dot meringue, lemon meringue, Billy Button polka dot cake, especially for polka dot brides. No, I'm not standing here eating the aquafaba because everyone knows you can't eat raw meringue, except if it's made out of chickpea water. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll send you some. Probably not.